I literally just sat here for like 30 minutes just scrolling through Twitter and Instagram because I couldn't think of anything to say for this part of the video. I feel like a vampire, but I also kind of feel like a cheerleader right now. Is that a show? That's a show. That's a TV show. Some vampire cheerleader. That's a thing. What is that from? That is from something. Okay, but I'm back with more of your guys' paranormal stories. I have about 10 times more than I had last time. This is gonna be interesting. I also didn't go through any of them yet, so I don't have any saved that I know I want to read. This is probably gonna be even more interesting, but here we go. After I told you guys to title them something other than scary story, and I was like, if you do something funny or if you do something that obviously relates to your story, I've gotten so many more that just crack me up. You guys are so funny. Shh, you guys are so funny. I love you guys. Thank you. Thanks for being alive. I appreciate you. Okay, but let's scroll through. I have about 300 emails and about 4 million DMs. So this is rough. Ignore this giant piece of hair that's hanging out. It fell out and I was like, you know what? Fine. I know I saw a couple that I was like, okay, I need to open those and I need to read them, but I never opened them and I never read them. But we're gonna find them. Somebody literally sent me an email. The subject says, "Step the fuck up, Courtney," and in quotes it says, "'Tis a paranormal story." The entire email is just, "Hey Courtney, what's up?" Fuck you, Tabby. Someone said, "Bitch, my fireplace fell off my wall." That reminds me of my dick fell off, but we're gonna read it. Oh my, she sent me a fucking picture of the fireplace. It actually fell off the wall. We're reading this story. Okay, so this is from Bree, and again, this says, "Bitch, my fireplace fell off my wall." Okay, so she said, "I'm gonna tell you this crazy story, but first let me give you a background. My mom bought our house when my grandma passed away about 7 years ago. She passed away in May, and we were moved in around the middle of October. I've always believed heavily in the paranormal, but just because I believe doesn't mean I typically blame strange occurrences on a ghost. In fact, most of the time I brush it away because I don't want to sound crazy, and most of my family doesn't believe me anyways. So the first really strange thing that happened to me specifically, I was in my bathroom washing my face around 11 at night, you know, trying to get rid of acne and stuff. So I watched scary movies, and I hate the part where the girl looks up and something's behind her. So when I wash my face, I try to stay looking up as much as I can. I'm a wuss, what can I say? I do the same shit. I put my face down to get all of the soap with the water, and I come back and everything's normal, except the door is closed. What? It was wide open right before I put my head down. My mom was downstairs and my sister's room is in the attic. Her stairs are creaky, so I would have heard her. That's freaky, but it's not the worst thing that's happened. I feel like that's just terrifying because it's just so cliche that you're just like, I'm fucked. The worst thing that happened is when the fireplace in my dining room literally fell off the wall. I'm gonna include a picture so it doesn't sound like I'm exaggerating. I'll put the picture right here. All of the bricks just came crashing down, so this is how it happened. It was the end of 2016, so about 2 years ago, the day before New Year's Eve. I had my best friend Emily over and we wanted our other best friend Maddie and her friend Arlen to come over. Did I say Arlen right? Sorry, Arlen. My mom was at her now ex-boyfriend's house. His house was about 40 minutes away. My older sister was home, so my mom was fine with me having people over. Maddie and Arlen came over and joined me and Em, and we were having a good time. Doing what typical 14-year-olds do, playing the 2000s R&B on Music Choice on Demand, LMFAO. We were just dancing and chilling. We were sitting at my dining room table for about an hour, just listening to music, gossiping, and eating. Emily asked if we could go upstairs. I don't remember why, but we did. We went up the stairs, and right as we sat in my bedroom, my sister went downstairs. Literally 30 seconds after she went downstairs, there was the loudest fucking bang I've ever heard in my life. It actually sounded like a car crashing into our house. My mind first went to our dining room table, which was circular, but it was completely glass. I gasped and ran downstairs, and all my friends followed behind me. Glass was everywhere. We had to put shoes on, and it wasn't until I put boots on and made my way into the dining room that I saw bricks everywhere. The bricks were literally everywhere, and the table was completely shattered. What the fuck happened? It missed my sister, but not by much. She had just made it into the kitchen before it slammed onto the ground. I believe with my entire heart and soul that it wasn't an accident and it was done by some force to hurt my sister. That's so terrifying. Call me crazy, but before we moved in, that fireplace was just redone and safe. How can that even happen? I really truly believe something in my house is after my sister, but my mom thinks it's just my teenage mind going crazy. My sister believes it too though, considering she's into this stuff and she's always playing with a Ouija board. I'm putting the picture up here again because I'm just staring at it in just disbelief. Like, it completely came off the wall. Like, that shit doesn't, that just doesn't come tumbling down. Like, that's not normal. What the fuck, Brie? What the fuck? Ah! I don't know what I just did. Did I just delete the email? I think I just deleted it. Brie, I am so sorry. Oh no, what did I do? Oh no, what did I do? I will find your email later, I promise. I need it because it literally has the story and everything in it. Did I just throw it away? How did I do that? I don't know what I pressed. I don't know what I pressed. Okay, well, sorry that I just fucked up the entire video now, but let's move on to the next one, shall we? I'll find it. Okay, this one's from Rachel. This says, I've had a ghost following me since I was 5. She said, "Hi Courtney, I love your videos. I sent you a funny story, but I want to tell you a paranormal one as well." Oh, what? I never see, you guys are always like, I sent you a funny story or I sent you this and that. I never see them. I just see the scary shit. She said, "I have plenty more dating back all the way back to when my mom was little. Let me know if you want to hear those." Of course Of course I want to. You don't even have to ask anymore. I want to hear them. Before I begin, I swear I'm not crazy. Just a heads up. I would never think you guys are crazy. I believe everything you guys tell me. So a little backstory. I moved into my childhood home when I was 4. My family has always had paranormal encounters, but this was my first. I don't remember everything from that age, but when I was 5, I started telling my mom about the man in the top hat. I called him Fred since he couldn't remember his real name. That's actually crazy to me because like most of the spirits I've ever spoken to literally can't remember their actual name. Like they just like make up a name. I talked to Fred a lot. As the years went on, he stayed. I felt he was protecting me, like a guardian angel. My grandma didn't believe me until she saw him when I was between 10 and 12 years old. He would come walking through our front door, literally through it. He walked through the entryway right past the living room where my grandma was and up the stairs to my room. That's terrifying. Now my family's used to the ghost and she said, I'm just mad he didn't take his damn shoes off before walking on my clean white carpet. I love your grandma. That is the greatest thing I've ever heard in my entire fucking life. I laughed and told her ghosts can't leave dirty shoe prints. We ended up looking into it and found out that our over 150-year-old house used to be a form of a country club, I guess, and at the time attached to our neighbor's house. There were no deaths on the property that we could find, but there was a man that either worked, owned, or was a loyal guest that fit Fred perfectly. Ever since then, I had paranormal encounters involving him. I haven't seen Fred since I got married back in June, but I still feel his presence as I've gotten used to feeling it over the years. She said there are a few things that have happened that are not related to him. Let me know if you want me to send those. Yes, please send them. That is so crazy. Can you imagine just having a ghost just walk through your house and your mom is just like, hey Fred. Grandma's like, take your shoes off, Fred. That's so fucking funny to me. I wish my family believed in stuff to that point where it's just like, I don't know. I also feel like the sun just left us. It's only 2 o'clock. Okay, this one's from Kelsey. This says, my mom woke me up when she was sound asleep. She said, hey Courtney, so I never thought I would write to you because I don't think I've ever had any sort of paranormal experience, but I was recently remembering something pretty creepy I experienced about a year ago. It started when I moved out of my childhood home and started college. Siri, not the time. I still live with my mom, but we just moved neighborhoods. This is back in the summer of 2016. I live in Florida, and about a week after moving, the Orlando shooting happened. It really shook me up since it's only a few hours away from where I live. I usually sleep with my laptop playing Netflix, but in a random neighborhood in a new house, I was more scared of the dark than usual. So I know it's extra, but I had Netflix and my TV on. I literally have my TV on pretty much 24/7. Like when I sleep, it's just a blinding light in my face of The Office. They were both playing really low, so I was surprised when I woke up to hearing gunshots at 4 in the morning. I didn't think much of it. I just completely muted both sources and went back to sleep. That was the first occurrence and the list goes on. That's so scary. Flash forward 2 months when I started college. My schedule was all over the place, but I would go home around noon to nap. On this day, I woke up to the sound of pots and pans falling. All of this may sound really normal, but I'm a super deep sleeper, and I heard all these sounds right next to my ear, as if it was all happening right next to me. It's not even normal to begin with. Okay, if something like falls, okay, yeah, something falls, but I feel like to hear a bunch of them falling, like pots and pans falling, that's not normal. But this time I couldn't brush it off with being the TV, so I walk over to see if my grandma was in the kitchen. She was sitting in the living room on her phone, not making a noise. She said, okay, now let's move on to the title. I had other experiences here and there, but these were the ones that stuck out. Now the one that really freaked me out. So it's all the same story. I'm sleeping and wake up to a loud noise in my ear, but this time it was my mom. I exactly heard, Kelsey, wake up, you're gonna be late to school. And I answered, okay, and as usual, proceeded to sleep. But after answering, I thought, what the fuck? This sounded like she woke me up from the inside of my room. I heard it right in my fucking ear. 1, my mom doesn't know my schedule, so she wouldn't know if I was gonna be late or not. 2, my mom usually speaks to me in Spanish. 3, she doesn't talk like that. It just didn't sound like her. After I answered, I thought, did she even say anything? I then went to check my mom's room and she was sound asleep. It was borderline bizarre. Yeah, that's so fucking weird. I brushed all this off by saying maybe it was me being under a lot of stress and it was messing up my sleep. I no longer hear or see anything in my sleep. He's like, oh yeah, I forgot the seeing part. Long story short, I once woke up in the middle of the night with 2 huge shadow figures standing by the corner of my bed. I turned to see if my Netflix was playing, and when I turned my back, it was just normal darkness and the figures were gone. And she's like, okay, now that's it. I hate the stories about figures because I feel like, I don't know, it freaks me out so much just like seeing things. It's like completely different when you just hear things because you can blame it on something else and just hope that it was something else. When you see things, this one says, I'm a huge idiot / motherfucking dolls, and I hate dolls. I hate the stories about dolls, but we're gonna read it. So this is from Helena. She said, hi Courtney, I already sent you this on Instagram, but I crave your attention so high. She said, I've been best friends with this girl for about a year at the time. Me and her are both freaks for paranormal stuff and are definitely both huge pussies when it comes to real life. She told me she had this haunted porcelain doll that lives in her cupboard. Apparently this doll would knock on the cupboard door and move things around. The first time I ever went to her house, I decided to knock on the fucking cupboard for some reason. Why? If somebody told me that in general, I would never go to their house, let alone try to like get it to knock back. Gracie, my best friend, was with me and our friend. I knocked on the cupboard and started saying, see, I told you nothing would happen, but got interrupted by a knockback. Fuck you. Fuck you, Helena. I don't want to keep reading it. I hate dolls. I hate dolls. I genuinely don't know how I have like a scary paranormal channel when I'm scared of all of this shit. The second time I went, she was collecting her stuff to come to my house. She was upstairs and me and my friend were downstairs waiting. We heard a massive crash from her room and obviously we were worried, so I started walking up the stairs and she walked out of the bathroom. I asked her if she heard it and she had no idea what we were talking about, and nothing had changed in her room, so we don't even know what actually happened. I wasn't there this time, but she was on FaceTime with this girl I'm no longer friends with, but for no reason at all. The books from her bookshelf fell onto her, and her mannequin fell over even though it wasn't even near the books. A mannequin? She has a mannequin? She was dead set that this was because of the doll. Most recently, I slept over at her house with my boyfriend, and around 3 a.m., my boyfriend moved onto the bed with me because I was cold. And I'm a pussy, like I said. He fell asleep quickly, and I was sat awake listening to footsteps outside the door and breathing. It was a different pattern to my friends, and my boyfriend snores, so it couldn't have been him. No. The next morning, I put on my jeans and saw a massive patch of blood on my knee. There was no cut on me or... Then they go, this isn't a crazy story, but I thought I'd still share it as it creeps me out. That was terrifying. Helena? Okay, I think I'm gonna read like 2 more and then we're gonna be good. So this one is, oh, okay, this one says, tapping in my walls and rolling in the attic. I moved to England in 2011 and I moved into the house I live in with my dad around 2012. In the beginning I didn't hear anything, but as I got older I began to hear things. I'm a believer in the paranormal, but think I can beat ass if I encounter anything. I know I can't. I know I would lose any fight I ever got in. Even though I know I can't, she says. Okay, now I feel you. Now I feel you. Because I do think I'm a badass sometimes. Like I think I'm like some hardcore detective, but I know in reality, I'd be fucked. In 2015, we got 2 huge dogs. They were pretty big and one was low-key aggressive, the other was a huge baby. He loved everything except for other dogs. As you can imagine, I felt pretty safe in my house with the dogs there. I did hear the occasional tapping in the walls, but thought it was just a mouse. But when it carried on for months, I guessed it wasn't a mouse. After some of the tapping had calmed down, I began to sleep normally again. But one night I got so freaking creeped out. As I was trying to sleep, I heard somebody in my ear saying, "Hello, oh no." And literally just as I fall asleep, I hear someone yell, "Wake up." I can't explain that. No, you can't. I was so insanely scared when I woke up and remembered that. Both of my dogs would always just stare at doorways, mainly my room's doorway or the front door's hallway. In September of 2017, I went to live with my mom in Australia. When I was over there, my dad decided to sell the dogs, a decision he has since regretted. Oh, poor dogs. I lived in Australia for 3 months and I would hear running in the halls outside of my room and taps on the window behind my bed. Luckily, my mom had a small dog that adored me and slept in my bed under the covers every night, so I felt kind of safe. I decided I didn't want to live with my mom anymore because some stuff had happened and I wanted to go back to my dad. Once I had gotten back, I went back to my normal life. It's been about 3 or 4 months since I've gotten back and things have only been getting worse. Every once in a while, I'll hear a whisper in my left ear and for some reason never in my right. I spend a lot of time in my room and the entrance to the attic is right outside my door. I began to hear rolling in the attic, almost like a marble going across glass. Across from my bed, I have a TV on a wall and a small table that has my Xbox and 2006 Wii. Still works amazing and I love it. Best console ever. I agree. I fucking miss Wiis. Well, I guess they're not gone, but I don't have one. Every week or so, my Xbox will turn on during the night and it will be that really annoying startup sound from the loud ass fan in the Xbox. From that section in the room, every single night, I will hear loud tapping and scratching. Nothing else has really happened apart from me feeling uneasy from not having the dogs here. There's also videos from Snapchat that filters on my face and then the filters on something else as well. I feel like I've experienced a lot of the things that you guys have experienced, like the scratching and the knocking and the tapping and stuff like that. But every time I read about somebody else's experience, I just get 10 times more scared and I'm like, wow, I can't imagine that happening to me, but I'm like, it has. I don't. Okay, let's read one more. Okay, this is from Allie. This says, the faceless man in the white room. That just sounds like a fucking horror movie. She said, "Hi Courtney, I believe that I've been haunted my entire life, but recently we moved into a new apartment and weird things have started to happen. The first experience I had happened whenever I was home alone. I will hear keys jingling and banging on the front door downstairs. I also sometimes wake up and my window's wide open, even though I remember closing it and locking it. I'm OCD about shutting and locking my window. A couple weeks had gone by and I was home alone and I heard the keys downstairs, so I thought, not today, and turned off all the lights in the living room because my parents get mad if we leave the lights on. Then I ran into my room. I had to go to the bathroom a couple hours later, so I walked out of my room and all the lights were turned back on. I swear the same shit has happened to me because at my mom's house, the house that I'm like 100, I'm positive that house is haunted. I would always turn some lights on, like when I was home alone. My mom would go on vacation a lot, so I'd be home alone a lot of the time, and I hate the dark and the house is haunted, so I would turn on a bunch of lights, but I would always make sure to turn them off, or I'd only have a couple lights on. But it's like whenever she would get home, literally every single light in the entire house was on, and she'd always yell at me for it, and I'm like, it's not me. I'm not turning all of, I would turn some on, but I was like, it's not me, Mom. I went to my parents' room to see if they came home early, but nobody was home. The next day I was taking a shower and heard a little voice sing in my ear. I flipped out and swirled around to see if somebody was in the bathroom, but I was alone. Oh, I would prefer to be alone. Even if I heard singing in my ear, I would hope that I was alone and there wasn't a little boy in my shower. A few weeks later, I was taking my dog out, and when I shut the front door behind me, I heard a loud knock from the door. It could have been a neighbor. I don't know though. Wait. Oh, okay. I thought you meant it came from inside. I was like, why was your neighbor in your house? But it came from outside. But I feel like if you had just closed the door and then heard a knock, like you would have seen the person most likely before. Never mind. Wait. No, they were outside because she says my dog had already ran out onto the grass, so I didn't run back inside. So if the knock came from inside, why would that be your neighbor? The second I stepped on the grass, I felt a force push my chest and my back together. I started to cry, so I grabbed my dog and ran up to my room. Siri! When I was up in my room, I still felt two forces pushing me together. Like, bitch, I'm not in Star Wars, so why the fuck is the force pushing me? I took a melatonin so I could go to sleep really fast. That night, I had a dream where I was standing in a white room that was never ending. It didn't have any corners, and it didn't have any walls or furniture. It was just white. I turned around to see a faceless tall man in an all-black suit with a stubby black top hat. For the rest of the dream, I stared at this faceless man in the white room. I woke up at 6 in the morning feeling an ice-cold hand on my face, and the window was wide open. My dad has blessed the house and nothing has happened since. Love you. Fuck you, Allie. Let's read one more. Why not? This one says, bitch, I was terrified. Oh my god, this one's actually kind of long. Okay, I'm gonna read this. This is from Sophie. Said, okay, so I have a few short stories. Some of them are going all the way back to when I was really little. Basically, I grew up hearing voices. The first time I can remember was when I was getting put in timeout in my room and I was sitting on the floor crying. Suddenly, I heard a voice say, it's okay. It was kind of like a childlike voice, but at the same time sounded like a grown woman, but also not human at all. I really don't know how else to describe it, but it was creepy as fuck. I stopped crying and ran out to the living room to tell my mom. She's a super strong believer in the paranormal, but told me it was probably a nice spirit. Well, yeah, because if they're comforting you, they're probably nice. Hopefully. I believed her, but it didn't make me any less scared. Another time, I was sitting in the grass in front of my house when I heard the same voice say, look down. So I looked down and there was a bunch of ants crawling all over my leg. I screamed and brushed them off of me. A lot of people I tell this story to say the voices could have been all in my head, but if they were, then how did they know there were ants on my leg before I did? Get 'em. Fucking tell 'em, Sophie. Another time when I was about 13 or 14, I had my friend over and we were hanging out in my room when my lights suddenly turned off by themselves. I jokingly said, hey ghost, turn the fucking lights back on, and they turned back on immediately after I said that. I swear that's happened in like one of my videos before, or I've explained it in my video. Like my lights at my mom's house used to flicker on and off all the time, and I had new light bulbs. There was no reason for them to flicker, and I would be like, stop, and it would literally stop. Was that an echo? I have a really bad echo in here. I didn't even notice. But I literally would be like, can you stop? And it would fucking stop. My friend freaked the fuck out. He literally ran out of my house and walked home. Since then, my lights in my room haven't worked at all. We tried putting in a new light bulb and we even had somebody come look at it, but they still don't work. And I hate sleeping in the dark, and they still don't work to this day. My last story was when I was probably like 16. I'm a huge insomniac, so I'm always up late, and it was about 3 a.m., which is also referred to as the darkest hour, meaning it's more likely to have spirits visit you at this time. I was laying on my side watching TV until I started to fall asleep. I was in that phase where you're like half asleep and still half awake, if that makes sense. Yeah, pretty much all of my sleep is half asleep, half awake, because I'm always scared of everything. When I suddenly felt something near me, like when you feel something near you almost close enough to touch but not really touching you yet. I felt like I was being watched, but I was too afraid to turn around. I suddenly felt something softly touching my back. I was hoping to God it was just one of my cats until it started to fully touch me. I literally felt a hand with fingers in a palm and shit, like it was actually a fucking hand. It started to press against my back harder and harder to the point where I was almost pushed off my bed. I rolled to the other side of the bed and turned around, and there was nothing there. A lot of people might mistake this for sleep paralysis, but when you have sleep paralysis, you can't move. But I was fully able to move since I immediately jolted awake and rolled to the other side of the bed. I told my mom, and she saged the whole house and did a protection spell. Me and my mom both practice witchcraft. Since then, nothing has happened except occasionally seeing orbs flying around sometimes. What the fuck, Sophie? I'm done. My phone is off the bed. I'm done. Well, thank you guys. I was like freak out, and then I'm like, but thanks for sending me stories. If you have any more, please send them to me. But thank you guys. Thank you to everybody who has sent me a story. I promise I will try to get more of these out and try to tell more and try to talk about more and scare myself to death is pretty much what I'm doing. I'll probably, fuck, I didn't do any from Twitter or Instagram. I was gonna try to do all three in this. See, this is the memory that I have. I forget mid-video and I just get too distracted. The next video I do, I'll try to take them from Twitter and Instagram if I remember. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. It's awkward now because I want my phone, but it's off the bed. Have you guys ever done that where you get so irritated with something that you throw it, but then you like awkwardly have to go pick it up right after? Like if you're like playing video games and you get frustrated during the video game, so you throw the controller, but then there's like that awkward moment where you want to keep playing, so you have to like go get it. I used to do that with my textbooks for school. So I was taking chemistry online, which was a horrible idea. I don't know where this story is coming from. This is whatever. This is why this is at the end of the video. But I was trying to like teach myself chemistry pretty much because I did it online. I don't know why I'm whispering either. I feel like I just got really quiet for the outro of this video. But I was so frustrated because I couldn't figure something out, so I literally chucked my textbook at my door, and then I was like, well, I have to finish my homework, so I had to go get the textbook. It's just, I don't know where that came from. Okay, goodbye.